Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back, it's Jordan here. I just went and did the unthinkable. I made another purchase at the Apple Store. So why is that quote unquote the unthinkable? Well, that's because I've been an Android or Samsung Galaxy user for nearly 15 years now. I did have some of the original iPhones, but ever since I switched to Samsung Galaxy, I've never looked back because I just liked the interface more. It reminded me more of like a PC and it integrated better with a PC. When I used some of the original iPhones back in the day, using iTunes and syncing it, it just drove me nuts. So I had to make the switch to Android. And there's a lot of things that I like about Androids and Samsung Galaxies, as you all know. But recently I made a switch for my laptop. I got a MacBook Pro, and I've heard that the ecosystem between MacBooks or Mac computers, Apple computers, and iPhones is just amazing. So I've decided that I'm going to test the iPhone. So I went ahead and bought this from the Apple Store today. This is an iPhone 16 Pro. I was either going to get the 16 Pro or the 16 Pro Max, but apparently the only difference between the two devices is the size of the screen and maybe some battery life things. But the camera quality is apparently the same, and I've been using the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra for quite some time, and it is a very large phone, and I sort of want to get something smaller that's easier to put in your pocket, easier to text on, etc. Now, that's not the only reason why I decided to get this phone here, the ecosystem reason and the size. Also, I figured it was time to upgrade my phone, and I've heard some very positive things about the Apple phones for videography, which I do a lot of. I do a lot of vlogging, and also AirDrop and many more. So we're going to discuss those today in this video. We're also going to be unboxing this. I've been meaning to do that for quite some time. I've already had it in my possession for over 24 hours. What kind of crazy maniac keeps these in his possession without unboxing them right away and setting it up? I don't know. I guess I do. But we're going to be unboxing it. We're going to be transferring over everything that I currently have on my my Samsung phone to the Apple phone. I'm going to figure out how to do that. And we're going to try some stuff with it, try some video. We're going to try and transfer from some files from the iPhone to my MacBook and just see how that all goes. Because I am an Android user and I am making the switch to iPhone, and I am very curious to see how this goes. So I'm going to share it with you here today. Let's get started. So this is my first time opening an iPhone in what feels like forever. It feels like it's my first time, to be honest with you. This is the natural titanium color. I thought that was pretty clean. Look at that. We've got the 3 massive lenses that have quite a high relief coming off the back of the phone. I didn't get a case for it at this particular time, but there it is. Looks like it has a little bit of a screen protector there that's sticky. Has a little bit of adhesive on it so we can remove that. There is a charging cable on the bottom there. There is no charging brick within this phone package, or that comes with this phone. And there's also the little metal element there, which is going to allow us to pluck open the spot where we put our SIM card. I have never turned one of these on before. I'm assuming we just hold this button. And I'd imagine we're just going to go through some of the different setup procedures after that. Very light, very small. Like, this thing is just tiny, especially without the case. This feels very good in the hands. Holy. So we're going to choose our country, Canada, and then our size, medium, large, or default. I'll probably just go with default. And then I need to quickly set up my phone, but I don't have another iPhone. And after connecting it to my Wi-Fi, just a bunch of data and privacy and stuff like that. Gonna go through and do my Face ID. Sure, we'll just get all this stuff set up. Pretty easy to walk through the different processes of starting it up, right? But here it goes, recognizing my face, doing all this different stuff for the facial recognition. Yeah, follow the arrow, it wants me to move over. Pretty neat. There we go. Scan complete. So what I like about this is it looks like it's actually going to accommodate the fact that I am an Android user. Transfer your apps and data, and there's a from Android option. Transfer from Android, open move to iOS on your Android. So it's an actual app. It looks like it has 100 million downloads, so I'm just going to install that on my Samsung Galaxy. Using that application to transfer the data from my Android to the iPhone was actually really easy. I haven't finished yet though. As you can see, we've changed location. I thought to myself, oh, maybe I should try and just do this while I'm driving to my studio or whatever. But it turns out you need Wi-Fi to do that. And I even tried it with the cable. But what I found was the cable was actually charging the Samsung from the iPhone's battery, and I didn't want it to run out of battery mid-charge, so I think doing it wirelessly was better because I have a lot of data and files and apps on this phone, so it takes a long time to transfer. So I thought that doing it wirelessly was actually better because I could have both devices or one device at a time being charged. So I actually canceled my initial attempt to transfer the files and everything over, came to the studio here, and then restarted it here. And it took about 2.5 hours wirelessly, and now it is ready to go. So there was a little bit of trial and error with the process of transferring everything over, but it seems like everything is converted. 1,998 calls, 45,000 text messages, 120 contacts, 500 events, photo library, everything seems to have been transferred over. Even the application's 94 apps. So that's going to be pretty convenient. Now, I say there's trial and error with this process, and there's going to be a lot of trial and error when it comes to me using an iPhone because of my lack of knowledge. And there's going to be a pretty big learning curve for me, in my opinion. Just curious to see how it all goes. But I can't really say that this is a tutorial. This is more so somebody coming from Android to iPhone and my authentic experience. I did do something similar with my MacBook, and I do plan on making a new video going over the experience that I've had with the MacBook so far, because of course, once again, I was a PC user and I switched to Apple, and now I'm doing the exact same thing with my phone. It's funny, at this particular time, I'm not using a case. I just didn't buy one yet, and I don't know if I'm going to put my phone in a case or not. Do you rock it bare? It's a little bit risky. Even like putting it on the table seems sort of weird. You see how it sits like not flat because of these cameras that just come up so far? It is weird, but I'll probably get a case, but I was thinking maybe not because I got Apple Care, and if I crack the front or back plate of the phone, it's only going to cost me like 30 or 40 Canadian dollars to replace with Apple Care. And I'm thinking if I don't rock a case, the audio pickup from the mics will be better when I'm filming a video. But I don't know, I'm pretty clumsy. Either way, here we go. Look, welcome to iPhone. Add your Android device apps from the Play Store. Add apps. So I don't know if my apps are going to be on here. Yeah, they are. Look at that. My most used app, U-Haul. You can see all the apps are downloading. But something I'm more interested to know is my images and stuff. Look, they're all loading on here. See, I only keep the good ones. Legoland, Disney, I only keep the good ones, right? And the kids and all that. I don't keep any Lego related ones on my phone because I'm here in the studio and I have them all on Instagram and stuff, but I only keep the good stuff. You can walk through the history. It's pretty cool. But one thing I'm really curious to know is the video. How is the video, right? Like, how is this video compared to the Samsung? You know, like it's looking pretty sweet. How's the zoom? What I really like about the zoom, okay, is the zoom wheel. I think the zoom wheel is so smooth. Like that zoom wheel is way better than the zoom functionality on a Samsung. Because look at that. It's so smooth and it's so easy to use. Whereas on the Samsung, I personally don't think it's as smooth as that. So to do the Samsung one, it's not a wheel, it's more of like a bar. See how my finger is at the end of the bar already, okay? So to keep going, I gotta move my finger. I just don't think it's as smooth as the wheel. And that was one thing that I really liked when I was testing an iPhone, when I was using my mom's iPhone. So yeah, I really like the zoom wheel. I think the video is going to be much better on this phone. It's just a matter of testing it, really. I think that's so G. I love that. Okay, a couple days has passed here, and I've actually just been testing the iPhone camera. And you can see this here, it looks a little bit whitewashed at this point. This is the first clips that I decided to film with the iPhone at 4K 60 frames per second. Of course, when you zoom in like that, it's pretty smooth, but there is a little bit of a jitter because it's switching between the lenses, but that's like any phone, whether it be Samsung or iPhone. So I think the colors aren't really popping right now. Those clouds, they look a little bit gray. Let me tell you, they're a lot more blue, and you've seen Lego colors that are a lot more vibrant than this camera is showing us right now. Of course, I could tinker with it during editing, but I'm not looking to tinker with the colors of every single clip when I'm filming a casual vlog with an iPhone. Now the colors, they don't look that good, especially when you compare them to the Samsung at the exact same specs. That's 4K 60 frames per second. So this is the iPhone, and here comes the Samsung. So you can definitely see the color difference right off the hop. Like, the colors are so vibrant with the Samsung. Look at that. In my opinion, it's way better. So after filming and editing an entire video, I was like, okay, there's got to be a setting that I can change on the iPhone to make it look more vibrant. So of course I did some research and discovered a setting that I need to change. Apparently, if you go to settings and then you go to camera, this is where you can mess around with all the camera settings. First off, you can change your default video. I think this is very important. If you plan on filming 4K 60 frames per second for every single clip, make sure you have that selected, or 1080 60, whatever it is. I'm probably going to do 1080 60 because for the most part I just film 1080 60 when it comes to casual vlogs like this, so I'm probably going to have that selected as my default. This is important because when you go to the camera app and you go to video, up here it's going to show HD 60, which is 1080 60. But if I were to change this to 4K 60 because I want to film in 4K 60, so you cycle through it, just tap on it, and then I were to close the camera app and reopen it, it's going to default back to HD 60. So it's important to have your default selected there. That's something I've learned. Whereas on a Samsung, it'll stay on whatever setting you set it to last. So if I set it to 4K 60, it's going to stay there, whatever it is. It's not going to default back to your default. So I don't know what I prefer more. Probably this, actually. Yeah. So now there's another setting that you need to disable or enable, whatever you want to call it, to get rid of that whitewash. Once again, I know you can do it in editing, but I'm not looking to edit. So you can go to formats, and you change it from high efficiency, which it is when you're filming 4K 60, to most compatible. Most compatible is going to get rid of that whitewash. But you'll notice when you go here and you go to 4K 60, no matter what, it has to be high efficiency. So I'm pretty sure that's going to give us that whitewash effect. Once again, I'm filming this with 3 different cameras right now. Trial and error, trial and error, trial and error. I'm just trying to learn the ways of the iPhone. But I'm pretty sure under formats, you want to go most compatible. And now, rather than filming in 4K, because 4K would revert it back to high efficiency, I'm going to film in 1080p 60 frames per second, and I'm going to set that as my default. And I'm hoping that that is going to get rid of that whitewash and the gray looking sky, because let me tell you, the sky in here is not gray. and this Lego is very vibrant. So I think the 4K 60 FPS high efficiency video was not doing a great job of representing what it looks like in this room. Granted, you could edit it to make it look like it does, but who in the world wants to do that when they could just film it correctly in the first place? Pardon the big bright lights here in the studio, but here they are side by side. So once again, this is the 16, not the 16 Plus, but you can see it's a little bit smaller. Going to be a little friendlier in the hands. So once again, this is 1080p, 60 frames per second with most compatible video, not the high efficiency video on the iPhone. So there we go. Did it get rid of the whitewash? I don't know. I'll have to look at it when I'm editing, because I literally don't know at this point. Well, once again, let's compare this to the Samsung 1080p, 60 frames per second, same sort of deal, flipping between the lenses there. I will say the Samsung has way better zoom capabilities. Like I can go way up to 20, but it gets so jittery. You're not really going to be doing that very often with your phone, in my opinion. One thing I will say about filming with phones as well is you need to wear a nice soft shirt or carry around a microfiber cloth, because the camera lenses like to get all fingerprinty, and then it gives it that whitewash effect. And sometimes when I'm filming, I forget to clean the camera lens, and you've got a big fingerprint on there, and it's just the worst thing ever. Every time you film a clip, you got to give it a quick wipe down with your shirt, no matter what. Otherwise, it doesn't look very good. Now I got a case on my phone here, so it's a little easier to grip, like this is on the Samsung. But I'm very curious to see the color comparison with that high efficiency video setting turned off on that. So we do have an action camera mode on here. It does look very jittery on the screen, but I guarantee it's going to be very smooth. So if I wanted to run around with the iPhone, I'm sure it would look very smooth. So excited to see the outcome of that. There is like slow motion and time lapse. Don't plan on really filming anything slow motion or time lapse with an iPhone. I'll probably use other cameras. This is more so like an everyday vlogger for me. But there we go. That is the action camera in action. So of course I got this phone here from the Apple Store, as you know. It is the 256 gigabyte. That's the same size as my Samsung there, and it always treated me well. I never really had to up the memory or anything, so I decided to get the same size. iPhone 16 Pro, 256 gigabytes, natural titanium, 1,600 Canadian dollars. Keep in mind if you're American. It's about a 40% exchange rate right now, and I decided to get Apple Care for $269 for 2 years. I decided to do that because if I crack the screen, they're going to replace it for like $30 or $40, and they're going to do it within an hour, and you can crack it as many times as you want. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm going to rock this thing without a case. Maybe I'll accidentally run over it with my vehicle, and they'll replace it for me. They did say if you crack the screen and you don't have Apple Care, it's going to cost you about $400. And I was like, well, this thing just cost me $1,600, so I may as well insure it. The reason I didn't get it through my cell phone provider is because they were trying to up my monthly bill by $10 a month just for re-signing a new contract. They were trying to add some amount of money for the, I have it all written down, for the phone each month onto my bill, which when I multiplied that by 24, which is a 2-year term, it ended up being way more money than the actual phone. And they also wanted me to buy out a device that's currently on the contract. It was Jose's phone, and they were only going to give me $350 for this S23 Ultra, which is worth like $500, $600, $700 if you sell it privately. So it's like, well, I'm not going to do it through you because that seems like I'm going to get, in the long run, I'm going to pay way more money for this phone. So I decided to do it through the Apple Store directly. And buying it through the Apple Store, I still have that grace period, 14 days. If I don't like the ecosystem, or if I can't handle how it operates, then of course I can return it. But I'll be honest with you, after getting the MacBook, I learned it pretty quickly. And after using both PC and Mac, Android and iPhone, if you know how to use electronics, you're going to be able to learn both fairly quickly. It might take a few days of use, but eventually you're going to learn how to use it. If you know how to use a computer, you can use Apple or Windows. If you know how to use a cell phone or any electronics, you can use iPhone or Android. I don't know why there's always such a big battle between the two. Like I was sort of one of those guys, pro Android, pro Android, pro Android. But the more I use Mac, the more I get used to it, and I realize that both systems are good and they're essentially the same. You just have to learn how to use either one. It's all good, right? Like, I don't know why there has to be a big battle between the two different types of users. It's weird. Okay, so this is what I've been most curious about. I just filmed 10 video clips and I selected them all using the multi-select tool, and I'm going to AirDrop them to my MacBook and see how long it takes to transfer those 10 video clips, which are going to be quite sizable because it's all 4K footage. I don't know how many minutes of footage it is exactly, but I do know that those files are going to be quite large. We can see how fast it's transferring. Like, that is pretty impressive. Look at that zoom. Hey? Yeah, that's why I got this bad boy. Well, one of the main reasons. And I just heard the camera's better. Also, my family all has iPhones, like every single person other than Jose. And for some reason, we just cannot send video together. They just don't use WhatsApp. They don't use Facebook. They don't use that stuff. And FaceTime is going to be pretty legendary through the iPhone. So I was sort of handcuffed, you know, but look at that. It's already transferred. Beauty. That was pretty impressive. All 10 files, 3.01 gigabytes. Okay, it wasn't a gigabyte per second. I misread something online when I was talking about it in my vlog the other day, but that was fast. I didn't time it, but it was like a minute, like 3 gigabytes. That's solid. And to give that context, let's see here. My entire video that I made today is 4K. It's about a 30-minute video, 30 minutes worth of footage. And it's 30 gigabytes. So 10 times that, so about 10 minutes. But that's 25 minutes of 4K footage, and I'm not going to be filming in 4K. And if I do, well, then I'll just plug it in and transfer it using a cable, and it's going to go a lot faster. But the convenience of AirDrop, 3 gigabytes in like 1 minute, I should actually physically time it next time. But that was fast. That was pretty cool. I've never experimented with this either. Like, what does this even do? I don't know. I remember it used to be so annoying back in the day. I had to like sync everything to iTunes. Like, no thank you. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, let's see. We can connect it to the MacBook. Now, if you heard rumors about fingerprints on MacBooks, guess what? Those rumors are true. It's just horrific when it comes to fingerprints everywhere. And I've noticed that this thing is horrific when it comes to fingerprints as well. The Sammer was more of like a matte finish. So I don't think it's as bad with fingerprints. Of course, the screen is the screen, but that is what it is. I guess sanitize your hands, Jordan. This is plugged in here. Not a huge fan of the way that this looks. Sync music on Jordan's iPhone, sync movies onto what? How do I open up the iPhone? Manage storage? The pictures or the video, if I want to transfer them, where is it? It says right here, you can access every photo and video you take from any device to sync photos from the Mac. Turn off iCloud Photos. See, now I've got to watch a YouTube video to try and figure out how to remove files from this or video from this with the cable. I don't even know. Okay, this is just goofy. If I want to transfer those with a cable, I discovered that I have to do image capture. And then once I unlock my iPhone, which is connected via cable, all those video files are going to pop up and all the photos and videos on the iPhone. So now, believe it or not, Shift Grab is actually working here. I think I can Control C. Oh no, I can hit download those. Yeah, there we go. So now it's importing. And you know what? It's going, oh man, probably just as fast as the AirDrop. Like, it's not going that fast. You can see the status bar right there. I don't know if this is the only way. This is just what I found when I Googled it quickly. But I've got to say AirDrop is just as fast. And even if this is just a tiny bit faster, not worth it because you've got to plug it in and all that. So, yeah. I'll just be airdropping all my stuff, I think. This is ridiculously slow from what I would think, you know, it's not that fast. Weird. Okay, I'm sure everyone's going to tell me a better way to do it, but there we go. I figured out how to access the video and picture files on the actual phone through the computer using a cable. So my end conclusion after filming with this for a little bit and testing a few different settings, I didn't test all the settings, and I'm still confident that there's more things that we could tweak within the settings. I just have to figure out how to do it. Is that the video quality seems to be good. It seems to be, I think, better when I turn off that high efficiency setting, making the colors really pop in this place, almost a little bit too much, more than the Samsung, but almost like too much. I think so far I prefer the video aspect of the Samsung, but granted, I've only tested it in here where we have like extreme lighting and a giant vibrant Lego world, right? Now, with that said, I think the compatibility between the MacBook and that AirDrop and the iPhone is amazing. There was no compatibility with Android. Sure, there are ways that you can plug it in and transfer the files, but believe me, not nearly as good. And yes, you can use Quick Share, and yes, you can use Google Drive and stuff like that, but I don't think anything is going to beat that AirDrop. And I could probably increase cable transfer speeds if I get one of those like lightning cables or whatever it is. But for the most part, I'm going to be filming 1080p 60 frames per second, which are smaller files that can be airdropped quite quickly. We saw how fast it transferred 3 gigabytes of files, which was very impressive. And so far, so good. Still going to test it out for a bit. I still have that 14-day window of returning it if I don't like it. But I think so far, so good. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed my comparison. Please remember to like, subscribe, and stay tuned as I continue my iPhone journey. There you go. I'm becoming an Apple user. Who would have thought?